Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a Veteran Reacts video. This one is going to be about President Biden, or at least his administration. Pretty sure it's from him though, giving the order saying like, hey, he just had a phone call with Putin. I guess he did not like that phone call or what happened in that phone call, so he's sending out some B-1 bombers capable of carrying nukes over to Norway in the Arctic Circle, very close to Russia. I'm going to read two articles on it, one from The Sun, one from another one that I haven't read yet. This is just my reaction. I haven't read them yet. I just heard of the news. A little background on me, for those of you that don't know, I was in the United States Air Force for 4 years in air transportation from 2012 to 2016. And yes, this does affect me. Okay, so The Sun, the base that puts the U.S. Air Force on edge. Oh, wait. Hold on. Nope. That is the middle of it for some reason. 4 B-1s and 200 Americans stationed at Dyess Air Force Base in Texas are deployed to Orland Air Base in Norway. The B-1 bombers will be put on the edge of the Russian airspace and around 1,379 miles away from Moscow. U.S. President Joe Biden in deployment. Okay. The base puts the U.S. Air Force on the edge of the Russian airspace, around 1,379 miles away from Moscow. Within the next 3 weeks, missions are expected to begin in the Arctic Circle and in international airspace off northwestern Russia. Okay, so they did not put a no-fly zone over there, which is good. Once they put a no-fly zone over there, that's bad. That's usually a preemptive something to say, okay, no-fly zone, and we're about to bomb the shit out of it. We're about to go in, put in the Marines first, have some Army camp out over there, and U.S. Air Force, at least the air transportation specialists, like myself, are the ones that go in there and we go and say, okay, we're going to set up a mini airfield. We're going to bring in all the supplies. A lot of how all the material and supplies get in there is because of my career field. Going in and saying, okay, we need to package this up on an aircraft, get it unloaded, all that. But the fact that that I haven't read that there is no fly zone over there is good. Until now, U.S. missions over the Arctic have been staged out of the UK. The move of forces to Norway shows the U.S. will be able to react quickly in case of Russian aggression. I don't know why Russia would even try to. Maybe because they think that Biden is a weak president. Maybe because the U.S. has done something that maybe we haven't heard of, that they're just not cool with. Norway deployment has been in the works for some time as a bomber mission. As a bomber mission takes weeks to plan. Okay. President Biden has already made clear he is planning to adopt a different, much tougher approach to Russia than his predecessor, Donald Trump. I don't know how I feel about that. The U.S. president had his first call with the Russian president last month. All right, so it wasn't even recent. It was last month. After agreeing to extend the new START treaty for 5 years, he said in a statement last week, "I made it clear to President Putin in a manner very different from my predecessor that the days of the United States rolling over in the face of Russia's aggressive actions, interfering with our elections, cyber attacks, poisoning its citizens are over." Is this something that, if I'm going to take that at face value, and whether that's true or not, most of the stuff that he says, I think it would be good to have a president that does that to dictators. Being a little more nuanced and trying to read into this, I don't believe, whether Russia or China was interfering in our elections, I don't really think it mattered. I don't think they could have swayed it one way or the other. I think either whichever one wins, they win. Biden wins, Trump wins, whatever. And I can make a whole series of videos on whether it was fixed, the election was stolen or not. I just want to, if he's going to say this to Russia, okay, say it to China as well. China literally has internment camps trying to basically, genocide on Muslims over there, or anyone that speaks out against China. So we will not hesitate to raise the cost on Russia and defend our vital interests and other people. Okay, so if they're going to do that, if they're going to try to tax Russia, they're going to try to do this, say like, okay, we're going to put sanctions on you, which sanctions is basically an act of war. Again, there's many different parts of war. There's not just militarily. There's terrorism, there's finance, economic, and all that. You're just going to say like, okay, Russia, we're going to squeeze you over here, which will force you to do more deals in China outside of the dollar, maybe in the ruble and the yuan. I digress. And we'll be more effective in dealing with Russia when we work in coalition and coordination with our other like-minded partners. Biden continued by raising the issue of the politically motivated jailing of Alexei Navalny and calling for his release. He said Mr. Navalny, like all Russian citizens, is entitled to his rights under the Russian Constitution. He's been targeted for exposing corruption. He should be released immediately and without condition. Defense Department has been concerned about Russia's moves in the Arctic area as it might be attempting to shut off access to natural resources and maritime access. They definitely have the equipment for that. That is a legitimate concern. It's also why the U.S. wanted to build a pipeline from Saudi Arabia through Syria to Europe, so this way they can kind of undercut Russia. So Russia supplies, I think, 30% of the gas and 25% of the oil to Europe. Undercutting that would be like, okay, hey, now Russia doesn't have such a stronghold on Europe. Okay, and that was one article. So the other article is going to be from 9news.com, Australian website. U.S. Air Force deploying B-1 bombers to Norway for the first time in a move that sends a clear message to Moscow that U.S. military will operate in the strategically important Arctic region and demonstrate that it will defend allies in the area against any Russian aggression close to the country's border. A couple of things over there in the Baltic. Again, there's different zones. Central America, CENTCOM. You have AFRICOM for Africa. You have European Command as well. This is something where, everything's all separate, so it's much easier to deal with. That is, I hope they did not call everyone back. That is so cold for me. I don't do well with the cold. If you see out there, that is what I'm dealing with right now. And I do not like it. Four U.S. Air Force B-1 bombers and approximately 200 personnel from the U.S. Air Force Base are being deployed to Norway, and within the next 3 weeks, missions will begin. All right, same as last article. Until now, military missions over the Arctic had been largely staged out of the UK, probably at, I guess, Mildenhall. Mildenhall is the air base there, maybe one or two others. The movement of forces much closer to Russia means the U.S. will be able to react more quickly to potential Russian aggression. And operational readiness and our ability to support allies and partners and respond with speed is critical to combined success. General Jeff Harrigan, commander of U.S. Air Forces in Europe and Africa. Well, he's right. He's not wrong. For the last several months, the Pentagon has operated similar groups of B-52 bombers in the Middle East as a means of demonstrating the ability of the U.S. to quickly move military assets to potentially tense regions. Be advised, those type of aircraft are not the only ones that carry bombs. A lot of them are moved on, mostly C-17s, maybe C-130 or C-5. Those are the ones I think that are capable of carrying those types of bombs. And what we do is we load them onto pallets. And a pallet is a 354, 3XL, PL pallet. They're very large. I can't remember the dimensions right now. It's been a few years. But if it doesn't fit on one pallet, we do what's called a pallet train. And if it fits on, over 2 or 3 pallets, we take some winches, we connect the pallets so that they're all one thing, and this way it fits. For C-130, I think you can only do 3. For C-17, you can do as many as you want, like 6. These bombers' missions take weeks to plan, so the Norway deployment has been in the works for some time, officials say, probably since the phone call, since last month. President Joe Biden has already demonstrated that he is prepared to adopt a tougher approach on Moscow than under his predecessor, Donald Trump. Don't poke the bear, man. Just my opinion. He held first call late last month. Okay, so that makes sense. So probably after the call is when he started to plan these missions, and confronted him over a range of issues from a recent massive cyber attack to the suspected poisoning of the country's leading opposition figure. U.S. Defense Department has been deeply concerned about Russian military moves to shut off potential access to Arctic for natural resources, maritime access as it continues to militarize the Arctic region. Makes sense. Recent Russian investments in the Arctic include a network of offensive air assets and coastal missile systems, warned Barbara Barrett, U.S. Secretary of the Air Force, during the Trump administration when the Air Force made public how it would deal with the Arctic last summer. I would think more the Navy would be better suited for that, because if it's in the U.S. has the biggest Navy by far. But then, and also, who has the biggest Air Force? The U.S. U.S. Air Force is the biggest Air Force. But who has the second biggest Air Force? The U.S. Navy. A bunch of Navy ships in there, all capable with a bunch of fighters. Yeah, that'd be my go-to. The U.S. assesses that Russia considers maintaining its own Arctic access increasingly vital, with almost 25% of its gross domestic product coming from hydrocarbons north of the Arctic Circle, Ms. Barrett indicated. A Russian fighter jet flew low near the USS Donald Cook, a naval destroyer, in the international waters of the Black Sea last month. Maybe that was Putin seeing like how close they can get, and said like, hey, give that guy an extra 50 grand. This is a suicide mission. If they want to fuck him up, then they have by all means the right to. And then Russia would be like, oh hey, they can't do anything because they threw close to U.S. waters. U.S. Navy routinely sails in those waters to send the message it will maintain maritime access in the region. The encounter was relatively minor, but the U.S. Navy issued a statement nonetheless. Unnecessary proximity of the Russian Su-24's actions were inconsistent with good airmanship and international norms and standards, it said. So basically they're just not playing nice. The U.S. Sixth Fleet is committed to maintaining freedom of movement within international waters for all nations in the Black Sea. And that is it. So everyone, please, again, what I said before, how this affects me, you have what's called, when you sign up for either 4 or 6 years, you actually sign an 8-year contract. 4 or 6 years active, and then the last 2 or 4 years, you can either do reserve or individual ready reserve, where you're inactive, you don't have to do the 2 weeks or 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. And I actually just finished that in December, so I don't have to go back if they call, but they are scraping, they're pretty undermanned, not a lot of money there, and I've done a lot of it before, especially in deployed locations, most specifically Kuwait and Ali Al Salem, but that is a much different climate. How operations might have to differ in Arctic climate. Well, definitely different gear, definitely cold weather gear. So might have to up some sizes with the, if we're doing any type of exercises with full MOP gear. MOP level 4 is when you just have like this giant suit. We have boots, a suit. It's like it's almost like you're going into like a radiation zone. That's pretty much what it's for. Anyway, guys, please comment what you think. Comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. I love you all. Goodbye. Meow.